Welcome back to 2K Studios. Today we have a new Dune trailer to react to with Mr. Willoughby, if he'll cooperate, which he probably won't, but he's cute. And so this trailer just released 8 hours ago for Dune Part 3. And already has 8.7 million views. Oh wait, 5.7 million views 8 hours ago from Warner Brothers. So without further ado, let's take a look. Here we go. We got a pretty interesting scene here where they're talking about naming their kids, and Paul still has his long curly locks, but then later on, I don't know if this is a flashback or what's going on, but we see him with a very short trimmed hair. So I'm not sure if this scene right here is a flashback where they're talking about naming their children, or if this is like chronological events. But let's keep watching.
It's a boy.
All right, so just the way that is set up, where he's like leaning over the pool of water, and he's like shaved his head, kind of gives me some foreshadowing vibes of some pretty dark times for Paul there. If you've read the book, you kind of know what happens, but that could be. That's why I'm thinking that's like a flashback to what's gonna happen. So we'll see. Alright, so we saw a pretty interesting few shots there. We saw Paul in armor walking amongst the Fremen troops there, and then we saw his mother with all the tattoos on her face, and now we have what looks to be a floating casket, which I could only assume is one of the navigators, which we've seen them in previous movies before. They're quite freaky looking, but this one looks so like what a more modernized, less strange version. But that's what I assume is in this casket-looking floaty thing, is one of those navigators. Very relevant to the plot of Dune Messiah. Oh, okay. Here we have this. This is probably the face dancer right here, according to casting. Then Robert Pattinson does play Scytale, the face dancer, which they can change their face, which is why they're called face dancers, and he's the big bad of Dune Messiah. So very, very intimidating looking fella there. Looks good casting. We'll see how he does.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family. How did Father do it?
Your father never started a war.
Father never started a war. Yeah, he never did that. He died tragically, but he never started a war. So we saw a scene there of the Fremen warriors on another planet taking out what looked like a group of samurais. Oh, we got a baby girl here to help us watch. So he was, talked about in the book how the jihad is spread across the galaxy, and the Fremen are basically Paul's troops taking on a bunch of different planets, and yeah, it's a lot of death, a lot of violence, a war, all over the spice, all over Dune. the epic conclusion makes me think this is the last movie this director is going to make, which it's kind of sad because I always like the God Emperor Dune. Is always probably my favorite, besides the original Dune book. Is God Emperor was always my favorite, so it's kind of sad we won't get to see that. But I hope they. I'm wondering if they'll try to change the conclusion because it's. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we got our first look at the Gola, Duncan Idaho here. So he's back, cloning with some extra steps. His eyes look a little different. 12:18. All right, so not a whole lot there. It looks like Duncan Idaho's eyes are kind of white, so when he does come back, he is a Mentat now. So he is not only one of the world's greatest swordsmen, but he also has the brain powers of basically a human calculator. So that'll be a pretty cool sight. And then him and Paul obviously have a pretty interesting connection, and he's very important to the plot of Dune Messiah. And it looks like the movie's going to be more action-packed than the novel, because in the novel, they talk about the jihad, they talk about going to different planets, but they don't really have Paul fighting in those wars, those altercations. You don't really see him on the front lines, so it's kind of like told from like a veteran's perspective of like seeing a planet full of water for the first time and stuff like that. So I think it'll be pretty interesting how they adapt this and how looks like they're adding more action, which I personally enjoy. And yeah, like I said, the little casket looking guy, you did see him inserting into a look like a hole in a ship, so I assume he is the navigator from the book. And that's very important because navigators have the ability to pretty much block Paul's foresight, so they can plot against Paul, and we'll see where that leads in this movie. So I really liked the first Dune. The first Dune was amazing. The second one, I really didn't like the pacing, and I really thought they should have introduced the Harkonnen, his son. Oh, I get the Phaedralfa. I really think they should have introduced Phaedralfa in the first one, and they should have built him up in the second one, because they introduced him in the second one and then they killed him in the same movie, which was kind of like, I wish they would have built him up more as a character before he had his big fight with Paul. But other than that, so far I really love the look of this Dune. I mean, it finally looks good, unlike some of the previous versions, which were kind of goofy looking. This looks pretty epic and really amazing, and I can't wait to see it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Dune trailer. Until next time, adios.